This is out of my comfort zone, so we're going to treat this like it's just something I'm recording for my kids. Fair enough? That's cool. So this is a 1973 Jeep Commando. I know from the front of it you can kind of see that it's not a traditional Jeep. So this one is a 72-73 year model that the front is called a bullnose. At least that's what everybody referred to it as. It gets lots of flack, I guess you would say, where they think it's a International Scout or they think that it's a a Bronco or something similar. But this is a 73 true to form Jeep Commando. Before that, I think it was called, like they referred to it as a Jeepster, which had a more traditional front end with a wider fender flare or what looked to be a wider fender flare. But this essentially is the same body with a different front clip. So this particular vehicle behind me, that I'd like to tell you a little bit of a story about it. I wish I could have recorded it as I was picking it up today, but it just didn't pan out. I got too excited and things led to another, and the wonderful storytelling that took place is a part of it. So just to give you kind of a rundown of how I found it and what happened. So this vehicle came from a gentleman named Richard, and I'll keep his last name, undisclosed just for his, privacy and whatnot. But Richard told me a little bit about this Jeep. This was his daughter's Jeep. She drove this, all over the place, the way I understood it. They had a blast with this vehicle. It's the 304 V8 with 400 turbo, Dana 20 transfer case. It's all original, believe it or not. I think the only thing that's been done to it, there's potentially been some pieces that's fallen off of it, but the suspension stock. It's a factory power steering vehicle. The top actually comes off this thing, believe it or not. The rear end is it's just really neat. Like from the side view, and I'll show it here, but the side view you can kind of see that it almost looks like a wagon. It's just a different oddball Jeep, and I love it. It's kind of like the forward control that I love so much, just because it's just random. But why this is so cool is, so Richard was telling me that his daughter drove it, but she drove it all the way up to 2015. So this actually was on the road, not that long ago, which is so cool. But when they parked it, basically they were telling me that, one, the engine's locked up, which I don't believe that it is. I hope it's not. Richard, if you're watching this, I really hope that we get this fixed here pretty quick. But I'm told that the engine was locked up, that they parked it in order to work on it. So they pulled the gas tank, they pulled all the fuel line, and that's the last thing that we saw of it. So I've picked this thing up today, and when I came to pick it up, it literally was sitting in a barn. So I'm going to call this a barn find. This is a barn find. It's 2025. It's been a decade since it's been parked. It's covered in, you can kind of see it. It's pretty filthy, but it's actually green. Like, it's a super nice, green color. And what really, it means a lot to me by being able to find this, pick it up. There were a tremendous amount of people in line. He was telling me that there were people on Facebook Marketplace just messaging him left and right. And it's really kind of cool. And Richard doesn't know this because I didn't get a chance to explain it. But when I found the ad, I went in and I clicked his name, and I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, maybe I know this guy, and I didn't know him, didn't have a clue who he was. And I reverse looked up his name, so I looked up, tried to find a cell phone number, an address, something. I was going to go to his house. I was going to get him some money, immediately. And I couldn't find anything. I was striking out. So I sent him a message, and I didn't want to wait. So randomly, whenever I was online, I found this cell phone number. There was a list of 6 other numbers with it, and I found this cell phone number. So I was like, well, I have nothing to lose. So I called, and this older gentleman picks up the phone, and I thought I caught him in a bad mood, but he's just, he's like me. He's just real straightforward when he's on the phone. And when he answered, I told him that I saw his ad, and he goes, yeah. He goes, that's my Jeep. He goes, I actually have 2 Jeeps for sale. And I was like, oh, we did it. I was like, we found him. I was super excited. And then he starts to tell me a little bit about the Jeep and starts giving me the full history. And I told him, I personally, I've got 3 little boys. And I told him my story, where I actually had a 1973 model Jeep Commando that I bought from my cousin's husband, and his barn fell on it. I actually still have the grill, and if I have a chance, I'll pop a picture up with it. But the building, there's a big storm, beam falls down, hits the front of the hood, and it was a pristine Jeep, same color, same year, same motor, same transmission, and all that fun stuff. And with it being wrecked, you know, he was kind of wanting to get rid of it, which I don't know if he wanted to get rid of it or not. Robert, if you're watching this, maybe you didn't. But he let me, at the time, make little payments towards it just to be able to get it. And when I got it, I drove to Alabama. I got a new hood for it, got a new grill for it, which is super rare. Found all these parts, and the gentleman down there, and I forget his name, I want to say it was Frank, but I know that's probably incorrect. But I went down there and I picked up all these parts. I brought it back home. I put it back together, and you know, time gets in the way. You know, your family starts to grow. Like at the time, me and my wife didn't have any children, and we had just moved, and everything was just kind of, you know, it started getting wild. So I found a gentleman that was willing to trade with me for basically a trail rig, you know, Toyota 4Runner, first gen. And you know, we made the swap. We traded, and I regretted ever since I swapped that, you know, did that swap or did that trade. You know, you have those vehicles that you just, oh my goodness, I'll never get this back. And I found out way more about the heritage of these Jeeps and the community behind these Jeeps when I got rid of it. Of course, that's how it goes. So fast forward, you know, I had my firstborn in 2016. We keep going. You know, I have 2 more children after that. I got 3 little boys that are they're firecrackers. And I was like, you know, I'm a collector of junk. It feels like anymore. But I found this on Marketplace, and it was like a second chance. You know what I mean? Like it's like, wow, I cannot believe it. So I go and I meet with Richard. He gave me so many cool stories about him and his family, and you know, how this came to be. Even the dirt that's on this means something, because I mean, he had a little barn that it was his workshop. Like that's where he fixes on vehicles and works on his tractors and does all these different things. Like he's into Miatas, like he was into Jeeps, he's into, you know, all these different things. And it was just really cool. You know, I think he told me that he was in his 80s. And it's really cool that you find other people in this world that have either, you know, they turn wrenches and they make things happen, and you know, life gets in the way and all these other things occur. But when I found this, and I was lucky enough to be the one to be able to bring it home. I'm sitting here. We pulled in the driveway not too long ago, and it's still sitting on my trailer. I hadn't even tore into it. I'm just so excited, and I wanted to record it because I never do this. I never take the step to record it and kind of give myself something to shoot for. I never take the step to start making a list and having, you know, something that'll push me. So for me, in this channel, if this turns into a channel, or if this is just for me and my boys when they get a little bit older, just know that there's always second chances. There's always going to be another one that comes down the road. There is. There's just always it works out that way. But if you stay diligent, you keep searching and set your alerts on Marketplace, you'll find something like this. I really feel like this is going to be the one that you build and you keep.